In this video, the crypto sniper, that's me, is going to take you into Bitcoin versus its relative valuations against other measures such as gold, the Nasdaq, and I will be highlighting to you why, despite a firming dollar right now, Bitcoin is outperforming. And this signal is deeply bullish for both crypto generally and Bitcoin specifically. Okay, let's go. So what's happened? We had a small head and shoulder potential threat on the lower time frames, guys. So as we jump down, I'm going to drop it to the 4 hourly, and a very good thing is happening. We've had a reversal before making the downside target on that. I'll take you right into the 2 hourly so you can see it with better detail. So here we go. And this is kind of a W bottom. So it has a neckline of its own, which it's already performed to, and it's reversed up to that potential threat that was the head and shoulder neckline. Draw the fat key so that everyone can see it. That was the potential threat. There was your broadening structure, there was your break, and what's actually happened is you've reverted back up to the neckline, and in fact, as per HVF method rules, you've just run the key level of significance, 22,700. That was just run. However, the full head and shoulder has not been entirely negated. So let me rub this out just so we can get more precise. You have an active stop. Those that did trade it, and that was not me. I'm not interested in bear positions right now on crypto generally. I think we could be seeing green shoots. There he say, green shoots. Sit a little taller in your chair. There are shootings, fluffings and shootings. Okay, so to invalidate that head and shoulder, you would have needed to run the stop. So it's not yet guaranteed over. I mean, something horrible could come out and you could get a slam. I do not put that in a high likelihood of eventuality. We actually, in terms of the community, we took the impulsive secondary move here from that low to there, and we expected a pullback to roughly the halfway mark for a clustering, and in a way that's kind of what's happened. You've been here and you've started to do a little bit of structure on either side of that, so that pretty much captures that 50% pullback. So we're grateful for that out of Bitcoin. Well done, Bitcoin. Because one of the reasons we are grateful is we didn't want it to get down to the 2100, because I highlighted then you have a bit more of a risk of another shoulder over here and further risk to the downside, which is why that 17,000 was tentatively drawn in. We are veering away from that scenario cost. The probability meter that was at about 30% is dropping towards zero, and the reversion back to bull is going back from 60s to deeper. So that is an encouraging move, in spite of actually the dollar doing rather well in the last few days, week odd, and a bit of a reversal following the inflation data that was yesterday and the non-farm payrolls the week before, etc., etc. So there's been a couple of things that have firmed the dollar, and generally that's not helpful for Bitcoin. So the irony is Bitcoin does well when the euro is dominating, because that usually means the dollar is not. Not to tie the two together, but nonetheless, a moot and interesting point. So what's a good scenario for going forward with Bitcoin? Well, a good scenario is a little bit of a pullback at the key level, but carry on up and make a secondary high and wind up, and then set us up for a nice squeezy Japanesey. Let's smash him with a bit of upside potential. I'm also in this video going to be talking to you about the status coins and how they've performed. A small update there. Yes, algo doing very nicely. Yes, quantum doing very nicely. So we'll have a little look at that at the tail end of this. But for this eventuality to occur, we have to accept a small little pullback, and then we need it to reassert without going too far. It's not the end of the world if it has a little deeper one. Could even do a falling wedge or something like that. Any of the ways that you can have a bit of a rest. It was a technically round number. It was significant as particularly key support in the latter stages here of the head and shoulders before it released itself to the downside. It is very good that this is levitated and the lowest low is well above this area. I can't tell you how glad I am. That has potentially put a smile to my face. So what about those cross comparisons? The headline says Bitcoin is outperforming. So where does that come from? Well, let's have a look. Let's go straight to the charts of value for proving exactly that. Bitcoin Bitcoin against, you guessed it, the Nasdaq. So I'm going to take you up to a 3-day chart. This is highlighting our first cup gold nugget, major win. This is Bitcoin versus the Nasdaq, and there we go. So we have a falling wedge structure here, and it was very interesting that we resisted at the edge of the wedge. This is the battlefield. Here, and here. This is the leading edge of the wedge. It's colored in red because it's the one I expect to see broken. So in spite of during the bear season being very bearish, we are actually expecting a move to the upside at some point for Bitcoin more than the other way. There are many ways that a falling wedge can break. It can break to the upside. Generally, traditionally, the technical analysis expectation under most circumstances. There are, however, contexts where you could actually have a pullback back in and spill all the way out the bottom, or you can have a capitulation out the bottom and break the gray line and still end up pumping the other way. So that runs you in and out and stops you out. It is not a tradable pattern, guys. You've got to wait for the clean break generally for us, because it has those moments where it can blow off, and that often depends on time frames on a bigger, higher, more macro level where the forces are coming. Thankfully, we're already on a big time frame. We're on about half a week there at 3 days, and broadly the macro on monthlies is bullish for Bitcoin. Okay, so what's happened? Well, we're having a dip down at the moment after a period, but today, or the last 3 days, and I'll zoom into this period, we're actually getting a perky little bounce. That means Bitcoin has gone up in percentage terms more than Nasdaq. So we were initially resisted at the edge of the wedge, the leading edge of the wedge. We were knocked back by the blade, but we are putting on a decent effort at moving back towards that. So let's go into the daily and have a look at it. So what you want to see this candle progress continuing to go to the upside and running clearly through. So on the lower time frames, it looks like you broke. These are generally wicks. They're technical plays with the line. You need a sustained push through on the leading edge of the wedge in the red, and that will be a breakout of the wedge versus tech stocks. Many people always say, well, it's a hive mind. You're buying into smart people doing decentralized, New World Order money, etc., etc. As a result, it gets compared to smart people doing software in Microsoft, Google, Schmoogle, all the other dark state entities as well. So this is significant as a benchmark that it's moving up, and doesn't need more than 2 or 3 good days to be through. So right now, against the Nasdaq, you are looking at Bitcoin is threatening to outperform on a break to the upside, in spite of what has been a fairly recovery orientated dollar period after a sustained fall. So let's have a look at some different crosses. We talk about Bitcoin being the digital gold. Well, how's that do against gold, the futures? So we'll do that. We'll add him in and we'll compare him against this. Now, the interesting part about gold, the futures, is that this has already broken. I'll take you back up to the 3-day first. There was a steeper wedge here, because whilst the Nasdaq was contracting as well, Bitcoin was contracting more so. However, there was a move out of debt and into gold. So gold was doing better earlier than Bitcoin. This means we've got a steeper leading edge of the wedge here on this falling wedge, and you can see we've had a couple of interactions along the way, 3 in total, and over there, and we have already broken this wedge and are already in a resumption state after having a little bit of a rest there. See the little broadening structure. We are looking like we could have a resumption state and run the last high in terms of Bitcoin in gold ounces. This is going to upset the likes of Peter Schiff. I don't believe you should be antagonistic. Peter shouldn't be antagonistic to crypto, and I don't think you should be antagonistic to him, although it's fun and there's great memes. But what I would certainly say is overperformance should be expected out of Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. The key status alts are in the eyes there. I'll also highlight how lower volatility periods are generally bullish, even on cross market valuations. This is across market valuations. This is one number divided by another number, and that's what you're getting. So nonetheless, Bitcoin is an overperformer against gold, has already broken, and this is an environment now after gold met a technical resistance point and is now pulling back. So it's got a lot to do with gold contracting a bit more. That's seeing Bitcoin getting more of the money, more of the risk on money after a very bullish period of central bank buying on gold. So that's two crosses for which Bitcoin is now showing you that it's either A, about to break a falling wedge against the tech stocks, or has already done so against gold. And that could see you going back up to the higher levels. Right. We also did a small chat with you on a couple of things. The status tokens. I won't go to that one just yet. The status tokens, we highlighted Lumen and HBAR. So for those of you that followed on HBAR, that one has performed to target. So your update was you got your nice big break over there and you trotted through the 8.6, a little bit of a pause area there. But right now, if you have a look at Algo, which is one of our status diagrammed tokens that we highlighted to bear in mind and to contemplate buying, your future enslavers, the central bank digital cartel are coming, my dear friends. There's not a great deal you can do about it. You may as well take the money, and you're getting a pretty good rally move here, strong, and then a pullback. And I would argue at some point you actually had, maybe not like that. Let's draw it again. A little steeper along the base. You actually had quite a steep squeeze to the downside on that sell-off period with your three impulses, 1, 2, and 3, and then you had a strong dip down wick only to reject and break the other way. That's very bullish for your third impulse, and then you had small continuation, low vol, note the low vol, and boom, you're up. There's Algo leading the chase. One of the current outperformers, so we've given you HBAR after our community was already in that, and its dominance spiked immensely. We didn't show you the dominance chart on HBAR, by the way. It was also interesting seeing how that's performed, climbing strongly. So remember, this is against other alts as well as Bitcoin and Ethereum, although they will be the biggest components that it's being measured against. And now you have Algo doing rather well. Also, if you want to have a look at the other status tokens, we can have a look at Quantum, and you'll see similarly strongly, and in fact we've drawn this capping descending grind line. It's typical of our analysis. We wanted to see when this would occur, that it would take out this degree of channel that we've got on there. Let's tweak it slightly. I didn't have it drawn perfectly. And it has done so, and it's done so with some vigor and some venom. So you could have been paying 126, now it's 142. Nice little break, probably broke around the 134 level. Do you want to get too excited? Careful now, the dollar. So let's talk the dollar for a small bit. It does, unfortunately for crypto kids, it is something that you've got to bear in mind. It is counterintuitive. You can see yesterday we closed end of day 103.27. This day we are 103.9. And you can see this is also continuation with upside over here for me. So again, a little bit of a rest after a good rejection and bounce. This was almost the lows. So let's go back to daily so you can see it. This has been the story of the dollar here since the sell-off. Very, very bearish. However, crypto during that period was hit by FTX FUD and so much it was kept suppressed really, really low down. So it feels like it's almost oversold and getting a bit of a rally in spite of the fact that the dollar is currently getting a little bit of zip in its tail as well. So this smells like a bit of a blow off low. It's broken out of this broadening structure that we had, that is typically how you search for a bottom. Again, broadening, and eventually you pop out. Again, the leading edge of the wedge in red, hence why we expected it to break, and as it broke there. So this has been a long period of sell-off. We're seeing the dollar overperforming now against the Korean won, Japanese yen, and this is also a large component, the euro. That said, we don't expect this to go up as fast as it went up during this period. So I think you could go up, a little bit down. It could be a more lightly bullish, but lots of rest, pause, more benign, working its way up. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a ripper. It will be news driven though. And the non-farm payroll numbers, suddenly America creates 513,000, 100,000 jobs. It's like 500,000 jobs out of nowhere. Who'd have thought it? Fake stats. Lies, damn lies, and statistics, they say. The birth-death model, very responsible for adding those in, I think, because other labor stats are not showing it anything like as good as that. But nonetheless, that's what the Fed works off, and that's what they've chosen. So yeah, a little bit of churn, a little bit of chop. It's not going to be that strong that I think it's going to over-dominate and cause too much pressure on crypto. And I think crypto could have a reasonable period of over-performance. So there you have it. A quick update on the status coins. H-bar made target. Algorand is looking spicy and spiky, and of course if there's some value there that you've got, we appreciate the share and the like. Go hit it now, and most importantly, book a call so that you can get the trades that might be behind some of these that I've not referred to in our premium community. Book a call. Go to themarketsniper.com. In the notes, show notes below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.